When this came up in my feeds yesterday, okay, I was like, Jesus Christ, this CM Punk AEW stuff is never, ever, 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 ever going away. It's never going away. Never, ever, never going away. It's sticking with us forever. Forever and ever. And just when you think you're done, hearing talk about AEW and CM Punk, just when you feel like we're finally coasting, you know, there's no more bumpy roads, no more 90-degree turns. Just when you think you're good, you're done. This happens for no reason. Why? Why is this happening? Josh Nason, Josh, who wrote this article on the Figure 4 Online Wrestling Observer. Josh, I was on your podcast recently. Josh, why are we talking? Why are you writing articles about this, Josh? I know why. It's not Josh's fault. I'm being stupid. The House has spoken. Nice to see you and welcome to the chat. Look, I'm being maybe a little over dramatic because I understand, because you are right. You are 100% right. CM Punk and AEW is the new Montreal screw job. And we're going to be talking about this for the rest of our lives. It's going to take 2 generations. You know, it's going to be 2 generations before we finally pipe down. Hell, we're still talking about the Montreal screw job, despite the fact that everyone has said everything about it. And there's video footage of the thing. And everyone has come clean on it. Even Shawn Michaels said, yeah, I was aware. I pretended I wasn't, but I was. And, you know, and Brett's made up with everyone. But Brett, you know, Brett is always right, except with his relationship with WWE. That will always be the asterisk there. But anyway, that's a conversation for another time. I know we are not done. We'll never be done with the CM Punk. But like, couldn't we have like a legitimate like a 6-month? I'm not asking for much. Just 6 months with nothing. Just nothing. Just 6 months. 6. I guess we did get because was it no 6 months with no talk about no revelations about AEW and CM Punk or things in that orbit. Ah, my God, Josh, you've got a lot to answer him for. Jesus Christ, Josh. Ryan Nemeth sent complaint to AEW executives about CM Punk harassment and threats. Oh, brother. In a document obtained by Fightful, former AEW wrestler Ryan Nemeth filed a complaint with several executives in which he claimed he suffered abuse, harassment, and threats while at the company, specifically from CM Punk, and that AEW didn't do anything about it. According to the outlet, a timeline was provided by Nemeth in the complaint, in addition to a claim of emails, texts, phone calls, and other records to back up his statements. The main issue was AEW's lack of response to any of the incidents he allegedly had with Punk, and where he instead was, quote unquote, ordered to verbally antagonize, unquote, the now current WWE star on TV. He was basically told to cut a promo. That's what, when we're talking about ordered to verbally antagonize, like I read this, I read the thing on Fightful, and it's basically someone told him to cut a promo on him. And I'm assuming we'll see in a second here. The report stated he was seeking changes to AEW's policies and financial consideration. He claimed he was, let me read that again. Excuse me. The report stated that he was seeking changes to AEW's policies and financial consideration he claimed was offered to him in exchange for an NDA following the timeline he provided, the information of which is below. The report also says the complaint was sent in September, assumed to be 2023, while he was still employed. Nemeth has been appearing on TNA Wrestling as of late, with the report stating he spoke to Tony Khan and others in AEW earlier this year. Nemeth wasn't interested in returning, despite Khan entertaining the idea. Okay. Here's some of the dates and incidents Nemeth outlined according to Fightful. All dates are in 2023, unless otherwise indicated. On April 16, Nemeth claimed he contacted former Chief Legal Officer Mega Parekh with concerns he would be targeted by Punk. On June 21st, Nemeth claimed that Punk threatened him in a locker room, apparently due to Nemeth's infamous softest wrestler alive tweet, also stating Parekh, the Young Bucks, and Tony Schiavone showed him empathy for the incident. He wasn't booked to wrestle for 2 months and said Jon Moxley supported him, claiming Moxley said the situation didn't sit right with him. On July 17, Nemeth again contacted Parekh about a lack of response to the alleged locker room incident and felt he had been, quote-unquote, silently fired due to speaking up, which Parekh assured him wasn't the case. He was concerned his per-date contract wouldn't be renewed. On August 12, Nemeth arrived in Greensboro, North Carolina for Collision and was told to go home, an incident that was previously reported. I'm sure you've heard about that little incident, indeed. The situation was initially said by Pat Buck to be simple travel confusion before he later told Nemeth that Punk didn't want him there. After calling Parekh again and requesting for AEW to do something, Nemeth said he was flown to a Wednesday, August 16 Dynamite and told to cut a promo in front of the live crowd where he would, quote-unquote, verbally antagonize Punk. He then met with both AEW HR and legal on that same day and was unsatisfied with their response. He was one of the people that spoke to outside counsel as part of the investigation AEW launched after Punk and Jack Perry's backstage fight before All In. Nemeth last worked for AEW on November 18, and his contract expired this past March. The report stated that Chris Peck of AEW's legal team reached out to work out a settlement for approximately 3 years' salary in exchange for an NDA following the submission of the timeline, assumed to be in September 2023, while he was still with the company. Nemeth said he was interested and wanted to discuss it more before being told it was pulled off the table for reasons that are unclear. He claimed Peck, who took over for Parekh along with Margaret Stalvey, threatened to sue him about the timeline at one point, and that Peck said he would be placed in an quote-unquote antagonistic position to Mega if the situation went to arbitration. AEW has yet to publicly comment on the report. Oh, brother. Okay. There's some stuff to unpack here. Should we unpack it? You want to? We'll do some unpacking. Look, we just arrived in our new place. It's our new apartment, our new condo. We just got a nice condo. We just got a fresh, brand new, factory new condo, and we're the first people to come in. And hey, Fred, and we came in with, we got our boxes in and so on. There's a lot of boxes. Let's start unpacking them, shall we? Again, this is some very interesting insight, and like the first thing that comes to mind is the confirmation of a lot of stuff that had been reported, right? Nick Nemeth clearly didn't care for CM Punk, and the softest man alive tweet was indeed directed at him, or at least that's how Phil took it. So that was, there's some connections being made there, and we kind of have a confirmation of the report that CM Punk, threw or told Nick Nemeth, not Nick, but Ryan Nemeth not to show up at Collision, basically barred him from the building, which was a report that was going around at the time and that a lot of people didn't like and was being contradicted, and people, not necessarily contradicted, but people were, fighting hard against. They were like, no, this isn't the thing. This can't be happening. Not CM Punk. He would never do this. But But it did happen, and he was sent home. And the curious thing here is that Nemeth was essentially benched from this point forward, right? Which is curious to me. And this is the part that I don't understand. And this is the part where I feel like there is some information missing, because, let's not forget here. It's a report that Nemeth filed. So of course we only have his side of the situation here, his recounting of the details, and there's there may be things that we just don't know about. There's an absolute chance that there are things that we don't know about, including things that maybe Ryan Nemeth had done that didn't stick well with things that he had done outside of the CM Punk situation that didn't stick well with AEW, right? That they were like, I'm just speculating here. I'm not, all I'm saying is that there's this one situation that's happening. Nemeth is clearly a victim here, where, outside of the tweet, are we chastising people to the point of not renewing their contracts because they tweeted out something against a wrestler who should be able to handle this kind of stuff a little better than what he did, right? CM Punk should not get upset because a lower mid-card guy is tweeting softest wrestler alive, excuse me, right? No one should be doing, CM Punk should be a bigger man than that. So, I just find it's curious that he was sidelined, put away, and I think his overall complaint, where he didn't feel like AEW he didn't feel like AEW had his back here, is valid. I think it makes sense, because in the Fightful recounting of things, let me see if I have it here. I don't want necessarily to pull up the full report here. It is paywalled, so you just want to be respectful of that. But it seems to me like at some point he speaks about someone telling him, he should speak up and the company will have his back. Yeah, see? This is from the Fightful report here. Nemeth says on July 17, 2023, which is this part here if you're watching on screen right now, he contacted Parekh to communicate that he was upset AEW had not responded to the June 21st locker room incident, saying he believed he'd been silently fired. Specifically, he believed that his exclusive pay per appearance deal would be allowed to expire, which is what was covered here in the article. But there's a little extra claim here. It says, Nemeth claims that he felt he was being punished, but was assured by Parekh that speaking up wouldn't impact his job. So he already, like I said, he feels like he's being slighted right now. Like the company doesn't have his back. And he's like, well, if I talk about it, I don't want to end up on I don't want to end up on anybody's shit list in the company. I don't care if I end up on CM Punk's shit list. That's already done. But, he doesn't want to, he doesn't want to burn a bridge with the company. He doesn't, but Mega Parekh is like, yeah, don't worry, pal. We got you. You're fine. This is the thing that I find curious here, and if AEW's attitude on July 17, right? And this is before the collision incident. If AEW's position is to just ignore it and move away, it'll probably go away. Well, that's not really good. Something should have been addressed. And I know it's against the top guy in the company, but nonetheless, and then the collision thing happens. So what this means to me is that there was already a situation here. You know, Punk threatened him in the locker room, and there was already a thing happening. There was already an issue, and nothing was done. So he goes to Collision, and then it gets worse. And look, ultimately, this is AEW's fault. Yeah, because, you know, and when I say AEW, you know, Tony Khan's fault because it's his company. But Tony, you know, not a guy who seems excited about confrontations. I don't think he likes the confrontations. I don't think he likes to, you know, be in these uncomfortable situations. But because otherwise, he should have gotten rid of CM Punk way before he did. He should have got rid of CM Punk instead of doing the roster split and all this nonsense. Imagine, just think of an alternate universe where the roster split doesn't happen. And instead, you know, the brawl out happens and Tony Khan is like, okay, no, you're done. Or puts his foot down, is like, and tells the Jacksons, tells CM Punk, all of you sit in a room and you figure it out and you come back and you tell us you figured it out. Because I can't have a locker room like this. And y'all can't run around, you know, being children like you are. That's just not how it's going to go here. Authority, leadership, these are things that are clearly becoming a part of Tony Khan's MO. And the fact that this was not handled when it was handled and was left to kind of fester. Look, he contacted Parekh, he being Nemeth, on April 16. And nothing happened. Nothing happened. And then months later, we get to August 21st and he's booked for a Collision, and then CM Punk won't let him in the building. Again, a situation that could have been avoided if Tony had made some decisions, if he had clamped down on this, if he had called Phil from the get-go and say, look, we're getting complaints. What is this nonsense? Like, I can't help but feel like this is another situation where if AEW had made clear, swift changes from the start, it probably would have avoided festering like it did. And Ryan Nemeth wouldn't have spent a good part of 2023 sitting around until his contract ran out, which is ridiculous. This is, again, a situation that could have been avoided. Just like CM Punk with the Jacksons, if that had been settled, we would have never got, Punk throwing a fit at the WBD upfronts last year. And we wouldn't have got Jack Perry and CM Punk, and CM Punk just might still be in AEW. And none of this would have, we would have, maybe all of this would have been avoided. All this fucking nonsense. Or something else might have happened because it's CM Punk. You never know. But, it's easy to look back. It's always easy to look back, right? Hindsight is 20/20. It's always the case. But hindsight or not, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous that this situation just sits and festers and nothing happens. And then resentments build, anger builds, frustrations build. And then an explosion, an event happens, and it's all shit. It all goes to shit. Now, again, we're all basing this off of Ryan Nemeth's accounting of the situations. We don't have a full picture. We only have his side of the story. And I don't think we'll ever hear, HR's full side of the story either. Were there other incidents that happened that might have worked against Ryan Nemeth? That maybe someone else had reported him for stuff. Maybe he was a troublemaker backstage. I don't know. We don't know. We're just We don't know what, or maybe he was like clean as a sheet, model employee that for some reason got, did a tweet, which is, who cares, right? Does a tweet, a fucking tweet. He tweets, doesn't like write a letter to Phil Brooks's mother or whatever. Doesn't, and the tweet in and about itself is the softest tweet ever. It's not as if he's insulting his wife and saying disgusting things about her on a public forum. Like it's whatever, right? So yeah, maybe outside of that, Ryan Nemeth is a model employee who got shafted. Or maybe there's stuff that we don't know about, because again, this is entirely, like, this is his report that he filed. We don't know what HR's perspective on this is overall, and they probably have a better 360 view of the whole thing than we do. And we're never going to get a response from, like, there's not going to be a response from AEW to this. They're not going to, like the article says, AEW has yet to publicly comment on the report. They won't. Like, usually HR stuff is confidential. So they're not going to, if there's stuff that they have that could disprove this, it also likely breaks the confidentiality that they have with perhaps some current employees, current or former staff members. Can we please just let all of this die? Can we just please let the CM Punk stuff die? It's so... I want 6 months without the words AEW and CM Punk appearing together in the same headline. I'm so done with it. It sucks for Ryan Nemeth if this indeed went down and there are no like caveats or things that we're not aware of. It sucks. Don't get me wrong, but Jesus Christ, I am so done with CM Punk AEW stories. So done. You can bet excuse me. You can bet WWE TKO would have reacted much more swiftly to a lot of what went down. I guess, would they have? I'm just thinking. I'm making me think. Because, okay, so Ryan Nemeth he's a lower mid-card guy, okay? Ryan Nemeth's a lower mid-card guy. And CM Punk is the biggest star in your company, okay? Let's flip this around. Let's say Ashante the Adonis, tweets some stuff about Roman Reigns, and it's a shoot, right? We're not doing angles, okay? Because Roman Reigns confronts Ashante the Adonis backstage, like the whole situation happens. Ashante and he shoves him up against the wall and he screams at him. And Ashante's like, I'm gonna complain to HR. He complains to HR. That's all well and good, but what are we gonna do creatively? What are we gonna do backstage, right? Are we gonna stop booking the biggest star in the company? Is Roman Reigns gonna bench? Is he gonna get suspended for shoving a guy around backstage? What are they gonna do? They're gonna tell Ashante the Adonis to, hit the bricks, go home for a while. Roman Reigns is not going to be the guy who's going to get punished here. The thing that has been just a thing in pro wrestling, and not just pro wrestling, right? Anywhere where you have megastars, where you have, number one people, right? They're always treated more favorably than everyone else because they're the stars. They're the top people. They're the people, like in pro wrestling. Let's stick with pro wrestling instead of, going too large, but they're supposed to be the ones that draw, that are the center of attention. They're the big deals, right? They naturally get some privileges that a lot of the other talent don't. And it's not just, your own locker room or your private transportation or stuff like that. They just get preferential treatment from management because they're the top guy. And I'm using the Roman Ashante Adonis, example, but look, transpose this into any time period. Let's say it was John Cena and Ezekiel Jackson, okay? For instance, let's say Steve Austin and fucking Midian, you know? Like, in the same roles, same positions, same situations, who's getting punished? It's not Austin, it's not Cena. It's not Roman Reigns, it's not CM Punk. So, like, you can feel sympathetic about it for what happened to Nemeth because it's unfair, but this is how things go. Like, from a purely utilitarian point of view, this is how things go. The stars get preferential treatment. You know, you can't fire or suspend or hurt the top guy in your company, but you can do something to the lower mid-carder who's doing jack shit, who's not drawing a dime, you know, who's not popping quarter hours, who's not pushing merch, gets no pops, you know? You can do that though. So you can, you know, if you look at it, like, I'm not sure TKO, WWE would have done anything different, quite frankly. When you start walking through it and you transpose from reality to reality, I don't think they would have done anything different. I'll tell you one thing, if the brawl out had happened in WWE, we probably would have never heard about it. Would have heard about it months after it happened. That's something that's the main difference.